Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Laura Haywood. Today we welcome two immensely talented actresses who star together in the upcoming film Becks. Tony Award winner and Grammy nominee Lena shines in the title role as a musician navigating a return to her hometown after a serious relationship falls apart. There she connects with Elise, portrayed brilliantly by SAG Award winner Mena Suvari. Based on and featuring music by singer-songwriter Alyssa Robbins, Becks opens February 9th.
What am I gonna do for 2 weeks without you? I love you. Bye, babe. See you there.
I'm hitting the road. I can't wait to see you. I miss you. Job, and I drove all the way across the country just because she wanted to be on a stupid singing competition.
I never trusted her, honey. Too much eyeliner means she's hiding something, obviously.
I'm single, and I'm broke, and I'm back home living with my mom.
Oh, no. Why don't you play here?
Okay. Thank you so much for coming out. Now I know how Beyonce feels. Beyonce still lives with her mom, right?
You know, I actually saw you perform the other night. I'm Elise.
Becks.
And you fool me twice, and I fall down.
So glad you came.
Why would you ever in a million years be here?
Well, hello.
These are not our people.
I've met some cool ones.
What poor girl's life are you ruining now?
You thought you had it figured out this time.
You know that she's the wife of my good friend.
Right to the sun.
Honey, you said 2 months ago you were in love with Lucy, and now who's it gonna be next month?
And we all just wanna go home. And we all just wanna go home, 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 home.
I missed you.
I missed you too.
And we all just want.
What a brilliant, beautiful trailer, you guys. I can't believe we still have to wait to watch the whole movie. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have gotten to see it early so we can talk about it. That so beautifully encapsulates what we have to look forward to. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lena, this is your first leading role in a film, although, of course, you're a showbiz veteran.
Yes.
You've been performing since you were 3?
Oh, 2 or 3 years old,
And
yeah.
how old were you when you performed for the Pope?
I was 7 years old when I performed. I sang for the Pope in San Francisco at Candlestick Stadium when that used to exist. It's gone now.
And you've gone on to win the Tony Award, and now you're starring in your first feature film.
Yeah, it's a long journey, but it's a journey. It's my own journey. It's awesome. I can't believe I made it here.
Meanwhile, Mena, you have starred in many feature films and television, and now here you are in Becks. What's the film like for you? What has the experience been like? I'm especially curious, Mena, how it's different than some of the big budget studio films you've done, because this is very definitively an indie.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think, always preferred in a way. And I mean, just seeing the trailer again now, I really miss it. I miss that time. It was a beautiful experience. And I think one of the things that I love is that it's just so raw in a sense. And, you know, sometimes you can work on a project where it's so much about, let's get, you know, different sizes of every single close-up and, you know, make sure that you're only looking at the person's right eye when you're talking to them, because everything is so specific. And to me, on this project, there's just so much freedom involved. You know, we were really able to create, and you didn't have to worry about any of that. There was just this realness to it, and that's what I've always preferred in a way. It's more about that connection and the performance and not worrying about all the other structure around you.
It sounds like it has a lot in common with theater, the ability to really have an in-the-moment connection.
Yeah, it was on the fly. I mean, we didn't have much time. We filmed the whole thing in something like, I don't know, 20 days or something ridiculous.
Wow.
And sometimes they had planned on doing multiple shots for a scene, and then we would do the whole scene one time through, and they'd be like, wait, we don't need to do cuts. So there's a lot of, there's a few scenes where they didn't actually do any like backup footage or any other like shots because they felt that they had the whole performance in one shot, and they allowed that to play through, which I love, because then they were just trusting that the emotion was going to come through and hit the audience without having to do all these crazy other angles or something. So I like that because it makes you feel like you're in the room. It makes you feel like you're actually a voyeur, like experiencing these people's real lives. It feels more documentary, almost like a documentary to me sometimes.
Yeah, like you're not breaking up the process. That's what I really like.
I think that's especially important when things get intimate. And I realize when I say that word, it has a certain meaning. What I initially was thinking of was the music, was the scenes when you're playing music. And actually, your character is a guitar student of Becks, and so you actually have a scene where you...
I'm severely a student.
I actually was going to ask you. I know Lena's been playing guitar forever.
Lena's got some stories, we all know.
But did you play guitar?
No. That's very
so
nice
you really
to
took some lessons?
Yeah, I took like some minimal lessons, but it was tough for me because I was working on a pilot for a show, American Woman, that's coming out this summer, and so we were shooting that in LA, and then was coming out here to film, and there was 1 week where I literally took 3 red eyes in 1 week, and so it was crazy. I was like flying there and then working all day, getting on the plane, flying here, and then going straight to set and working, and I ended up getting sick. But so I had like a limited amount of time when I came in to sort of, they're like, here's this guitar, and I think everyone was like, it's really easy. And I was like, it's not. It's really hard.
You pull it off. I mean, you're playing in that
She makes
film.
me look good.
Yeah, well, but no, but the charm, your charm just shines through anything. You could do anything.
I was supposed to be learning, so I just really played into that.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
and you
You're
have
not
a
supposed
line
to
in
be
the film where you say, if it sounds good, maybe you'll sign up for some lessons. If it sounds bad, someone hasn't been practicing.
Exactly.
It's a hard instrument to learn.
Your fingers hurt?
Ooh,
they started hurting.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, I mean, I was growing out my nails.
Yeah, you
now
had
they're way longer. But I was growing them out for the show. And
for American Woman.
You can't have long nails.
You can't have long nails and play guitar, so it's really cute to watch her.
You can have long nails on one hand, right?
You can't.
On this hand, sure. If you're like a guitar picker,
and I didn't think that was a
banjo.
problem. I was like, you could totally do this. I probably could have had like one long nail as my pick.
But the thing, right. But it makes it. But it really worked for the character and for the film because she's a Midwestern housewife, and like, what do they have? She's bored, and what do they have to do but do their nails and grow them out and look all cutesy? And I mean that's
it's funny because
perfect.
as I was thinking about how to describe your character, I kept coming up with housewife too. But then I was like, she's also a business owner. Like she owns a thrift, a high-end secondhand clothing shop. So I was like, do we call her a housewife?
Yeah, I mean, she has her vintage shop, and I think that's like her element of coolness in this environment that is a bit more conservative and I think stifled. And so, I mean, it's more that she is in a marriage that you come to find out a bit more about what's going on between her and her husband. But even the moments that she talks about her mother, everything is sort of like constructed, and she's pretty stifled, and I think she's been looking for not just attention in a way, but just another avenue of expressing herself and feeling liberated in many ways.
And she seeks that out originally through guitar lessons, and then some other stuff happens between your characters.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I love about her character is that she's this kind of what you would call a typical Midwestern housewife and living the life that she was supposed to. And that was like laid out for her, and yet she's so grossly aware of her situation. And a lot of her friends aren't, they're happy to be where they are and what they're doing. And, she wants to grow out of that and just do something different and is aware of that. And that's why she has her shop that makes her happy. And I like that. I like the idea of someone kind of trapped in their own life, but then seeking a way to fulfill themselves and have happiness through other avenues. So
I feel like that describes both characters, because when we first meet Becks, she is just out of we saw in the trailer, she's just out of a relationship that kind of imploded, surprisingly. And so they're both seekers in that moment.
Oh yeah, and Becks is completely lost. I mean, she seeks validation in alcohol and in other people. You know, the quintessential codependent, feels like she can't move on with her life without someone telling her how, or without like being in love, or quote unquote in love. That independence isn't quite there, even though she comes off as so like cool and laid back, and like I write my own songs, and that she doesn't have a plan or anything. And if it's interesting to watch like the kind of her life start to come together, and her ability to start making choices for herself that make sense for her life and what she wants ultimately in the end. And I think that, it certainly is a universal story. A lot of people are going through that same thing of searching, and I was definitely going through that while we were filming. And it was just interesting to play this character that was so close to what I was going through myself, feeling lost and trying to find my own independence. Yeah.
So the film is loosely based on the story of Alyssa Robbins, who's also credited as a producer on the film. Was she around a lot? And how much of her input did you take on creating the fictional character that's based on the real person?
She was there. She's actually in the film.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. There's a bar scene where we're all getting wasted, and Alyssa Robbins is there at the bar getting shit-faced with us. I'm sorry. Should I not swear?
Oh, please swear up a storm. We are not regulated at the FCC.
Sorry.
Just be yourself. That's all we want. Is just be yourself.
But swear.
Yeah. Alyssa was there, but she wasn't there a ton. So, I didn't I didn't have to feel like I was doing a copy of her or something like that. They were happy with me, with what I was bringing to the character, but they definitely they dressed me pretty much the way she dresses. They wanted my hair to be exactly like her hair, but that was impossible. I have shorter hair, it was super dark. They bleached the ends of my hair, which ruined my hair, by the way, but that was fine. Anything for a film.
Thanks, Becks.
Yeah, right. And no, it's fine. And then they gave me the ombre kind of hair, and which wasn't something I would have done. And then really they didn't want me to sing like her, it was just kind of my own interpretation of the character that was in the script and going off of their direction, instead of watching Alyssa in interviews, and doing a full character study of a real person. It was more just I'm going to take what's written on the page as the cues for my character, and also from the directors, because they did a really good job directing. Their first time feature directors, and it was two directors. On every shot, we had two directors, and they worked so well together, and I felt really, really comfortable, and just anytime they would suggest anything, I was just yeah,
we'll do it.
Let's do it.
They have amazing energy. They're really, just the way that they work off of one another. It's really calm and casual in a sense, but they're so brilliant and they know exactly what they want. But to create that atmosphere is really important.
It
really
sounds
supportive.
Like a brilliant working environment. And it sounds ideal.
That's why I was tearing up. And
I know.
It was an amazing
experience
during it really was. Yeah, it's special. And I think even they talked about how they had at least 5 other projects or something that they were working on, or other scripts, and how this one, it was just put together, I think within 6 months. It was everybody just signed on and was ready to do it, and it was this,
everyone.
It's magic when it happens like that.
How did the casting process work? Was it pretty standard? Your agent called, you went in on audition, and...
For me, I had come out here to do an episode of Inside Amy Schumer, and I had met Dan then, one of our directors, and then he emailed me. I think a couple months later, and he just sent me the script and for me to consider release. And I read it and I loved it. It reminded me so much of films that I had always loved over the years and had looked for, that kind of material that's such a character study and really raw and deep. And I just was ready to do it. I was really excited.
So you said yes immediately.
Yeah, and I was just really honored that he had thought of me and you know, in that regard, and had thought to just reach out. It was really special. Yeah. It means a lot.
And how about you?
So they were looking for their leading character, and Alyssa, the woman who's based on, she was working as a bartender at a club downtown. And I sang a set with Jason Robert Brown, and she was there, and she saw it, and she was like, what about her as playing me? And they were like, oh, well, and then they looked into me, and then they saw my Girls episode, so they knew I could act in special ways, and and then they sent me the script and the music, and they were just they wanted to sit down and talk to me about the project and see what I felt about the character and how I was. And when I met with them, it was just like, we talked for a long time, because I can talk, and and like I just told them what I loved about the film, and I told them about like how the character arc would be, and kind of how I felt about the music, and I was really deeply searching or wanting a project to come to me that included performance and singing, because it is such a huge part of my life. I mean, singing for me is like the closest I come to, a miracle, or it is my church, essentially. And so I wanted a project that included that, because it's like my comfort zone, and doing film and TV is not my comfort zone yet. So I wanted something that I could kind of be like, well, if that's not good, at least I have like the performance scenes where I sing, so I'll win them there. And then if the acting's terrible, they'll give me a pass.
Well, the acting is not terrible.
Just great. In case, for my own. It was for my own comfort, having that ability to be able to do these performance scenes that I knew I'd nail.
Well, you did. The scenes in the bar, all the scenes where you're performing songs are. I really, because I've known you for a few years, I really felt like I could feel the parts of Lena that were being reflected as Becks. I didn't feel like it was you doing you, but still, as someone who knows you fairly well, I recognized you in the honesty of it.
Yeah.
And in addition to the music, the other thing that made me, that just blew me away, was your laugh in this film. Because you have such a generous, authentic laugh, and your character laughs exactly like you laugh in real life. Yeah. And I think that's a really hard thing to, quote unquote, fake in a moment. You were clearly having a blast and really amused in those moments where your character is laughing.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of the things that, the reason why for me it's harder for film and TV is because I'm used to playing a character and a really, really different version of, completely losing who I am and becoming somebody totally different. And for Becks, they really wanted me to use myself. They were just like, we want you to be yourself. You're grounded, we like your vibe. And I had this whole idea of a different version of Becks that was completely different, but they wanted me to be more myself. And once I found that and just kind of relaxed into it, I think that's why it's so close to a lot of really good friends of mine. They're like, it was like I was watching a character, but then every once in a while you would do it would do something, and then I was like, oh my God, that's her. Which I love, because it means that I was just very relaxed in the scenes, which is great.
Mena, do you have a lot in common with your character? Did you pull from your own experience, or did you feel more like you were inventing something totally outside of yourself?
It's an interesting question. I mean, I always try to apply my life experience to the characters that I take on and the situations. And I mean, I think there's just genuinely some of that in regards to relating with another person, and the relationship scenarios within this. But I don't think. I mean, not specifically like where she's from and that sort of environment. Not necessarily.
So whenever a movie comes out like this that has so much music in it, the first question in my mind is it going to become a musical?
Oh, God, I don't know how they would make this a musical, but I thought about that.
I mean...
I thought about that.
I'm not surprised.
Because it reminds me of Once.
Oh, yeah, it is similar.
It totally reminds me of Once. And Once was super intimate, and the music was not necessarily like they were bursting into song. It was performative. So it kept the storyline going, but it was still like performance. It was still a performative thing.
Well, and there are so many musicals, like the Carole King musical, Beautiful, which, the performances of the singers are the songs in the musical, as opposed to sort of a more traditional musical.
Yeah, I think just time will tell. And if that did happen, it would be bizarre. It would be so bizarre for me if I walked into like a Broadway show and I was sitting there like watching something that...
You think you'd be watching it, not starring in it?
No. Do the people who... No, right? If you're in the movie, you don't do the Broadway show. Somebody else does that, right?
Is that the rule?
That's the rule. Isn't that the rule? I don't know.
I've always thought of you as somebody who made her own rules.
This is true. Whether they're good or bad, I do make the...
So we don't have a ton of time left, and we're going to take some questions from the audience. But first, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about other projects you have coming up. I know, Mena, you've got American Woman, which is a new show coming out on the Paramount Network. And Lena, you've got some exciting stuff going on, too.
Oh, yeah. Every month I'm releasing. So Warner Music Group and Shikaboom Records, they decided that they would be crazy with me. And I basically, I'm releasing an album a month, so an EP a month, an artist a month, and then a video a week for the entire year. And we're already thinking we're going to do season 2. So we've already released Hedwig, was in January. This month is Peter Gabriel, which, I love. And these songs, it's all very stripped down versions of these. It's all cover songs, all very stripped down versions. But I love what Justin Craig, he produced it. I love what he did. He's been mixing all this music. It's an insane amount of music. We did 54 songs, and we recorded it and filmed it all in 8 days. And we just went on this wild, journey of music, and now it's, slowly rolling out, and I get to slowly hear all the mixes and see the video from it. It's really cool. So yeah, this month is Peter Gabriel.
Called Lena Hall Obsessed.
Obsessed, yeah.
And Mena, what can you tell us about the new series?
It's produced by John Wells. John Rigi was our showrunner, and it's premiering June 6th on Paramount Network, and it stars Jennifer Bartels and Alicia Silverstone, and it's based in 1975 Beverly Hills, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really awesome dramedy, so we're really excited about it. I'm proud to be part of new Paramount Network. It's a great network.
Yeah, I understand you play a woman from Dallas who gets to have a lot of fun with fashion.
Yeah, I play a woman named Kathleen, and she comes from sort of old family money and has moved out to Los Angeles, I think looking for more, and she gets involved in a relationship with Cheyenne Jackson, who plays Greg, and they start a business together and sort of see from there. But it's really wonderful. It sort of follows the lives of these 3 women and how they navigate this new second wave of feminism.
Awesome.
She looks awesome in 70s fashion. Awesome. I saw some of the things I was like, hell yeah.
Oh, I'm just so thrilled that you guys are both working, because I admire you so much. I admire your talent. I admire your drive. I admire your activism. Becks is such a brilliant and beautiful film that I feel like really showcases your talents across the board. And we're going to take some more questions, or else I'll just spend all day gushing at you.
Yeah.
Who has a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I've been a huge fan for Mena since 1999.
Oh, thanks.
So I've been a fan of yours for American Pie and American Beauty, and I just want to ask this question. about American Beauty. What is your favorite scene to do in front of the cameras?
On that film, American Beauty?
Yeah, American Beauty.
You know, I'd have to say that, well, thank you. I'd have to say that working with Conrad Hall was one of the highlights of my career. It was such a beautiful experience overall, and I guess being able to shoot the scene with all of the roses and the rose petals, that was something that was really fun to experience on the day, and I had no idea that it was going to become this like sort of iconic image.
Not sort of.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
and they gave me they were just buckets of real roses, and at the end it was like, take as many home as you want, and we shot in this huge sound stage, and Conrad Hall himself was they basically filmed it reverse, so I was laying on the ground with all these rose petals, and they strategically placed the other ones with tape and all kinds of other things, and then they had this I don't know how you call it, like a lift, and Conrad was actually up there himself with the loose petals of the roses, sprinkling them down. Mm-hmm. So they shot it that way, and then they reversed it like it was falling. But he was just such a sweetheart and really gentle and amazing to work with. He was such a legend.
I feel like anytime there's nudity in a project, it's important to feel very comfortable. And I can't believe we went half an hour without asking you guys about. There are some love scenes between these two.
Well, we got right into it, didn't we?
That was our first scene we filmed together.
What?
Yeah. Sometimes that happens on a movie. I've heard of that, and then it happened to me.
So do you work with an intimacy coach?
Oh, no, we are.
Does that exist?
Yeah, they're in. It's apparently like increasingly important. The same way you would have a fight choreography, they're intimacy choreographers.
What?
Yeah, just to make sure everyone's comfortable. Yeah, it's a thing.
Well, you know,
we didn't need one.
Yeah. Two women, I don't know. I didn't feel any kind of...
Well, and our cinematographer, Kat, it was very comforting. Mm-hmm. And Liz, our other directorial counterpart, it was like a locked-off set, room, locked-off room.
Only women.
But remember when we were shooting in that room and there were windows?
Oh,
and
yeah.
we couldn't
and
because...
people were walking by.
Well, it's an independent production, so you can't, there's only so much expense, right? And there was like construction going on next door, and I remember this one guy just like walked past the window. We're like,
yeah, we're naked. She's a little less naked than I am, but I'm like naked, and this guy just walks by, and we're like, okay, well, what do we do?
Like, go outside. There's a guy working on the building.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like somebody's got to stand and make sure like nobody walked by the house. It was really, really hot. It was 90-something degrees that day. And I was so nervous. It was my first like real like romantic love scene. Like I did that scene in Girls, and that was just like it was hilarious. Mm-hmm. But this was my real like love, romantic love scene. And I was so nervous that it could have been 1,000 degrees. My feet were ice cold.
I remember you saying that, and I was like, "We're fine. It's okay."
Yeah. Everybody's sweating, and I'm like.
Oh. Well, you couldn't tell.
Scared. Yeah.
We have another question?
Hey, Lena and Mena. What is it like working with people like Haley, Kyoko, and Christine?
Oh. Well, Haley was awesome. She didn't get to work with Haley. I got to work with Haley, but Haley had 2 days to get all of her shots done. And she was like... She's very young, and so she has all this energy. She came on, and it was just like, poof, all this energy. And they would be like, all right, we need this. And she's like, you want to do this, that? Okay, fine, done. And then move on. I was like, oh my God, wow. She was down for anything. It was amazing to watch. She was just like free, open, up for anything. Like, that was really fun. It was like skipping, through Central Park with a 10-year-old. It was just like joyful, it was like set your spirits on fire. It was super fun. And then Christine Lottie, she plays my mom. She's just like a legend. So it was cool. I felt like I learned the most from working with her in the scenes. Just because she's just been around for so long, and she just brought a lot of that like the anchor that you need for something, especially for someone like me who this is my first film and I'm super nervous. She kind of just like anchored me down, which was great. And then it set up because our first scenes that we filmed, period, were with Christine. So she kind of helped set the tone for me and anchored me at the very beginning so that I was pretty anchored for everyone else.
And Mena, you got to work with some really amazing actors too. I recognized a lot of Broadway folks. I was very excited to see Sass Goldberg and Morgan Weed. And
they're like the best
Dan
friends
Fogler,
ever.
another Tony winner, and Darren Ritchie played your husband. And so, the talent throughout this film is so excellent. You had especially good rapport with those girls.
I did. I mean, everyone. It was just a fantastic experience overall. I mean, it was very new to me in a lot of ways. And I mean, even just working with Lena and going into the studio and laying down our track. I mean, come on. Like, that is not... It's funny because, this was her first film, and this was my first experience in so many ways. I never... I mean, I sang when I was younger in American Pie, but I was, like, not even close to this. And playing an instrument, and that was, like, her free space.
Yeah.
And I was really nervous about it and felt like I needed years of rehearsal. And I mean, working in some of these, the studio that we worked in, like they were mentioning that David Bowie had recorded in there, and it was just...
It's a great studio.
It was, I mean, all wood paneling. It was beautiful.
We're both big Bowie fans.
Oh, and I remember
We're
you were like, are you doing, I can't even.
Oh yeah, are you doing the harmony or the melody? And she was
I
like,
didn't know what the hell.
I don't know. I was like, oh, okay, you'll probably do the melody. I'll do the harmony. You're
like
good.
Going with it, like I'm just gonna sing, and I don't even know what I'm doing. And then when you asked me that, I was like, I don't know.
She did great.
She did.
Super pro.
I can't wait for
she
you
had
guys
to
to
deal
all
with
see the
me,
film.
so.
We've got time for one more.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I'm wondering what the main difference you guys find in preparing a role for theater and preparing a role for film TV.
Mena, have you done theater?
No. I did a reading a long time ago where we were on stage, but we had scripts.
Uh-huh. Well, do you remember what project that was?
And it was horrifying because I had like 30 minutes rehearsal. It was called The World of Nick Adams, and I was performing with Matt Damon, and I was just like, where am I? And it was at the Kodak Theater when it had just opened.
Uh-huh. Wow.
And it literally like 30 minutes rehearsal, and they kept saying like this whole, what is it? Your projection, and I don't have that. I'm not used to that, so I can't really comment because I'd never, and I spent many years terrified of doing it, and I'm open to it now, but I'd want to sort of like get my feet wet and do something that was probably like a little cameo and like smaller where I could just
the gears in
sort of like appear and not be like the actress that's doing theater now. I don't know. It's the whole thing that's it's horrifying to me because you can't. It's not like, okay, guys, like cut and do another take. Like you're out there and you're just naked, and I don't know. If it was like I think something that really, really spoke to me, then I think I would like to challenge myself. I'm all about that, but it's like it's night and day.
Yeah, totally different beast. The thing that's interesting for me is that for like a Broadway show, you rehearse for like 2 months, and then you do tech, which is a nightmare for like a month. So the show is ingrained in you. There's no, you're hit over the head with the material. Over and over again. You have night sweats dreaming of the song that you rehearsed all day. Like, you can't sleep because you're going through the scenes. Like, it's just constant. And then when you open, it's like just, you get nervous, but then it's the same thing every day. And it's different every day because the audience is obviously different. You get a different energy, and the show will be different-ish a little bit every single day. And if you don't keep it fresh for yourself, you will die of boredom from doing it the same way 8 shows a week. And also the schedule is just painful. 8 shows a week is actually really painful, and the older I get, the more painful it gets. But
sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's so great.
But in film,
get paid a
everything's
lot
different
less.
every day.
No, I mean, but there's something about live theater, obviously. You get to tell the story of a character from start to finish. So you get to have a full character arc, and like you get to interact with your audience. You know, there's like a certain energy exchange. It's almost like drugs. You know, you get this kind of adrenaline. You get high.
Like a high, though.
You do. You get high after I get high after I perform. Again, it's like this is like this thing. It's like everybody's energy is going together. I sound like such a hippie, but
she gets high through the process, not
through the
after she performs.
Not like actual. And then for film, there's a very small rehearsal period. In fact, if you're lucky at all, you get. If not, you go to set, and then they block you through your scene, and you maybe run it like once or twice for camera, and then you're on, and you're doing it for takes or whatever. And you may, depending on how complicated the scene, you may get through the whole scene. You may have to do it in bits. And then you cut and you do it in different angles and at different things. And sometimes they're like super close to you, and it's really hard to keep your focus because there's like a camera on your face, and you're like, are my pores big? Or, is this pimple bad? Or, yeah. And it's like you have all this stuff going on in the back of your mind because there's just this like thing. And then sometimes, or sometimes you get to go through the whole scene. Like we were lucky, we get to go through the whole scene some here and there, and they didn't actually do any coverage, so they didn't do any other angles. So we got to like feel the scene out, do it a couple of times, get some notes, and then do it. And then that's it, then we got, but in general, you'll do things multiple times. They'll do different camera angles. Sometimes the cameras, they're really distracting because they're on like a jib or they're coming towards you, and you're like, all right, don't look at this thing that's like going all around, just keep your...
And sometimes it's like every department will come in and be like, hi, so, yeah, can you not like move your purse in this scene because we can't hear what you're saying? And then it's like, the cinematographer will be like, okay, so find your light, in this one. You're thinking of like 15 things in the scene, or it's like, just look at their right eye because it's such a close-up. If you're not just looking at one eye, it's going to look like you're like looking, back and forth. Right? When you're like,
man, I feel like
and then you're still trying to make it real, and you're like, I'm not here anymore. And so that's why I think a lot of actors, prefer this kind of material or sometimes this kind of environment because it's really rewarding and refreshing because you get to be about the performance.
I feel like there's so many more stories that I want to hear, but unfortunately we're out of time. So we'll have to have you back. We'll have you back. We'll have you back. Sorry, I love it. Yeah. You guys, everybody go see Becks out February 9th. Thank you so much, Mena and Lena.